Alright, boys and girls, so yesterday you were introduced to this text, The Unsinkable Titanic by Julian Green. In our video yesterday, we talked about the difference between a first-hand account and a second-hand account. And we remember that first-hand means you were there, you experienced it, you actually went to the theme park, you rode the ride, and then you were giving all this information about the way you felt, what it was like, what you experienced. But a second-hand account might be like your friend went to go visit Busch Gardens. Your friend went on Montu or Kumba or Falcon's Fury. And they told you how you were feeling. And then you went back and reported that information. So kind of relating it back to our personal experience there for a moment. But the difference between experiencing the event and really giving information in the writing about your feelings and some of the events and the details that occur. The same thing is happening in this text. So when you read The Unsinkable Titanic, you probably learned that this was an example of a second-hand account, right? Even though, I know when I was reading it, I read something like, let's see, this sentence here. The ship's captain told his radio operator to call for help. Then he ordered the crew to lower the lifeboats. In the panic, fleeing passengers launched most of the boats with several empty seats. Well, even though it kind of includes some of the feeling there, we know it was a very panicked situation, that doesn't indicate that our author was there to experience this event. And I know that in a first-hand account, we're talking about the people who were passengers on the Titanic. This is someone who has researched the Titanic and the event, and they are reporting now some of the facts of that evening. So, in our discussion board post, we should have noted our response to those two questions, including that the article is written as a second-hand account. The article includes information about the journey and sinking of the Titanic. However, it is not told from a passenger's perspective. Now, you could have included something else. Maybe your response is slightly different, and that's okay. Maybe you decided to write a little more. Maybe you wanted to tell me something like the text only includes details and information that someone researched or learned about this event. So now we're going to switch gears. We're going to look at another text. It's on a similar topic. It's about the Titanic. So here it is, and the title is The Sinking of the Titanic. In 4th grade, we often have to look at two different texts on a very similar or the same topic, and we have to determine which one is a first-hand and which one is a second-hand. We also have to be able to tell what type of information we're learning in each of these accounts and possibly how it could be different if it were told in a first-hand account. We know that the information is going to be quite a bit different if it's from a first-hand account, because we know that that refers to someone who was there aboard the Titanic. So today we have this article that we're going to read. Is by James McGough, and there are some vocabulary words that I would like to share with you before you begin reading. So I'm going to scroll down. The first one is right here. It is the word afloat. without hope of remaining afloat. Afloat sounds kind of like just that base word float, so it means to stay floating. Let's look at another one. Snuffed. The lights of the lower deck snuffed out. So if I had to use context clues and I know this ship is sinking and the lights are starting to snuff out, then I might infer that the word snuffed means that they're going out. It's now dark on that deck. Let's look at another word. Extinguished. So that kind of reminds me of a fire extinguisher, right? And fire extinguishers are used to extinguish or to put out fires. But let's look at it in this sentence. A while later, and the second deck illumination was extinguished in a similar manner. Well, it's referring to the lights going out, so then I might assume that the illumination, well, I know illumination refers to the light, and if it's extinguished, it means the lights went out in a similar manner. Let's look at another word, hysterical. Well, sometimes we think of the word hysterical as having like a funny connotation, right? Oh my gosh, that was so hysterical. It's funny. But hysterical can also mean something else. I don't think that if we're talking about the Titanic, we're probably thinking of something really funny. That would just be my guess, but let me look at this sentence. The women did not shriek or grow hysterical while we waited through the awful night for help. So hysterical in this situation might mean like really upset, crying, nervous, terrified. So they're not growing hysterical. The next word we want to talk about is the word swell. I know that some people might experience like their feet begin to swell if they've been walking for a long period of time. However, in this case, it's talking about a large wave. It kept the boat headed into the swell to prevent her capsizing, so into the area of water. The next word, the last word we want to talk about is this word right here. I just read it, capsizing. So we know that the boat is beginning to sink. So to capsize is another word or a synonym for the word sink. So those are just a few of the words that you need to know before you start reading this text. Today you're going to read through the sinking of the Titanic. You have to make a decision. Is this an example of a first-hand account or is it an example of a second-hand account? And just like you did yesterday, you're going to think about which account it is, but also, more importantly, how you knew. So what information did you read that told you this was either a first-hand or second-hand account? And finally, after you've read that text, you're going to go back into Tuesday and you have some multiple choice questions. So you're going to click here and then you have, I believe, 3 questions that you are going to answer from both of those texts. Let me know if you have any questions.